You're watching Tech Talk in affiliation with Tech for Techs. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. London time, and we'll be streaming to Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and many more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, and your host, Philip Griffiths.
Hello everyone and welcome for Tech Talk. This is a live show and it's where we'll help your IT business grow. Today's show is basically question and answers. I think we've got a bit of a presentation as well with VIP Computers or VIP Computer Centre or whatever you want to call them, but they're basically a big distributor in the UK what sells tech parts. So today I'm joined by Elliott and Carl. Elliott, if you would like to introduce yourself, let us know who you are and basically let us know what you actually do.
Cheers, Phil. So I'm Elliott Hodgeon. I'm the sales director at VIP, which means I'm responsible for all the sales side of things, basically all the different sales channels. Essentially means I get all the glory without doing any of the work, Phil, basically. And the likes of Carl does it all. So yeah, I'll hand over to Carl to introduce himself, I suppose.
No problem. Go on then, Carl. Let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Carl. I'm the head of distribution of VIP Computers, essentially responsible for the distribution space.
Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Right, first of all, to people who are watching, if you are watching, please make sure you comment. Let us know who you are, where you're viewing from, so everyone can see you. Let me get rid of that VIP logo. Sorry, VIP. So Richard Overfield is basically saying evening all. I'm presuming you can hear us okay, Richard. Let us know. Also, if anyone wants to put their name of your business in, we'll give you a shout out as well. So, Facebook user, I've got a special link for you to press if you don't mind. I'm just going to put that into the chat now for you. This will allow your name to actually be shown on the actual show. So just click on that or type that in your web browser on a different tab, and that'll allow your name to be shown. Unfortunately, Facebook's a bit funny about letting names get shown and stuff like that. Yeah. Who would have thought Facebook would be worried about people's identity and stuff like that? Who knows? But anyway, so yeah, we've got a few chats coming in. So we've got Newtown IT Solutions. Hi there. Richard saying loud and clear. We've also got Ian French as well saying evening on LinkedIn. So how you all doing, guys? So we've got Mark Dennis on as well. So evening, Mark. Right, before we go on any further, there is an actual competition on today. So VIP will be giving one lucky winner a £100 Amazon voucher. So I'm going to put the link into the chat. So
you've got to work hard for it though, Phil, right?
They've got to work hard for it, yeah. So obviously you've got to really talk and say VIP are the best distributor in the world and stuff, and they may turn around and say, yeah, we'll do it. I'm just changing the symbol from dollars to pounds on my system. There we go. So I've put the link there, so it's just a Google form. Just click on it, stick your details in, and obviously there's a chance you'll get a £100 Amazon voucher you can spend on whatever you want. Okay, so right, so and hi Sean O'Brien, he says he loves VIP, so there you go. So you got a good start there. So right, let's get started then, Elliott. So I presume, or I think you've got some sort of presentation you would want to show.
I'll just bring it up for you now.
No problem. I'll stick that on screen. There we go.
Wonderful. So as I was saying to you before, Phil, firstly, appreciate the opportunity to come on. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Why Amazon voucher and not VIP voucher? We don't do them, do we, Carl? I don't think. I've just noticed Richard's message in the chat. Do we have VIP vouchers? Unfortunately not, I think. I'd rather they spent it with us.
Yeah, me too. Credit note, I suppose, but that's about it.
Yeah, we could maybe swap it for a credit note for the customers who are watching who are set up with us, maybe.
Absolutely.
So yes, I suppose the presentation, I was just saying to Phil before we came on air, fully aware that as a distributor, we're not about to have the most sexiest of presentations. We've not got a new product to launch or some hot tech to display. So we've tried to keep it short but sweet. I suppose what we wanted to do with this is both for customers who already work with us that are watching and also any other resellers out there, is just give an overview of who we are, what we do. And I suppose for those who already know some of the recent changes we've had, it's been a pretty manic 2 years for us, like it probably has most people in our industry recently, and just generally, I suppose, with COVID. So that was it really. So we'll go through quite quickly. The first thing I wanted to touch on was our brands. If it loads onto the next screen, which it should be doing. For some reason, not booting up. My apologies.
Technical issues already, eh?
Technical issues already. It seemed like it might have frozen for some reason.
The computer wasn't supplied by us.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was by one of your competitors, I will say.
Let's say that. Yes, it seems to have frozen on me. My apologies. So you're just looking at VIP Q&A. Now, I could talk about the brands, but unfortunately, the brands sort of need the visual for it. Otherwise, I'm just literally naming brands, which isn't ideal. So if you bear me one moment, I'm going to restart that.
We'll keep people busy for now.
Tonight's picture at the front of our building.
Yeah, that's where we work. I don't entirely know why it's frozen, but if you bear me one moment, I will attempt to restart it.
No problem. That's how things go sometimes when you're live. And there we go.
So we're back to this. It's when I was sharing. It's working at night. As soon as I stop sharing screen, let me try again.
Okay, I'm turn it on.
There we go.
There we go.
There we are.
Okay. Apologies, everyone. Okay, so we start off with regards to our brands, and the reason for that is, firstly, ultimately we're aware that the customers and the resellers are interested in what they can actually get from us, and moreover, I think it's a big strength of ours. We pride ourselves on the brands that we have and the products that we're able to distribute, really. So if you're looking at the actual brands that are on the screen there, AMD, AOC, Azus, BenQ, Corsair, and I won't read them all out. I'm sure most people can see them. There's quite a big strength and breadth of products there. So, for example, you've got the top three graphics card VGA motherboard partners in the market in MSI, Azus, and Gigabyte. And Carl will give some numbers in terms of the graphics card side of things. But with all three of those, VIP are their number one distributor when it comes to both units and revenue. So not only do we have those top three brands, but we're also able to supply more of their products than anybody else. We're Microsoft number one distributor in the UK for Windows. We're AMD's number one distributor in the whole of Northern Europe. And of course, when you're talking about some of the brands like Azus, like AMD, like Microsoft, these are major players in our industry. So for an independent distributor in the UK to be, their largest supplier is a real sort of key point for us. We've also got four of the leading monitor brands in the UK there, with Azus, BenQ, AOC, Philips. And with the exception of Philips, again, VIP is number one for all three of those. Philips is with AOC. They are part of the M&D joint group, and they like to keep those two brands separate in terms of where they place a lot of that stock. So it's not that we wouldn't do a good job for Philips, but pardon me, they like to keep it separated. Razer and Corsair. So Razer are pretty much number one across one or two across most of the gaming peripheral brands. We brought them to the UK roughly about 10 years ago. I'm just going to get some water. Bear me 1 second.
That's no problem. While you're having a drink, just say evening to Dean. How you doing, Dean? And hi to Haley and Rich at Phase 4 Computers as well. So go on. You might have to take over from him here, Carl, I think, at this rate.
Yeah.
You're there.
That's why he doesn't talk on the phone anymore.
made the mistake of eating before I came on, and I've got something stuck in my throat, which is so typical. Yes, I was saying about Razer, obviously being number 1 or 2 in virtually every space they play in, keyboards, mice, headset. We've recently brought back on Corsair, and again, Corsair in that place, obviously, again, are generally 1 or 2 when it comes to the gaming peripheral brand, certainly top 3 across keyboard, mice, and headset. So we've got, again, some real strong brands in those spaces. VIP are Razer's number 1 disty by some way in the UK. As I say, we were responsible for them coming across. And Corsair, obviously, when you look at things like cases, cooling, PSUs, and again, people watching will know all this, you know, they pride themselves on being 1 or 2 in all of those spaces, never outside the top 3 for all of those pieces. So I think ultimately we want to show this first. First of all, it demonstrates, you know, who we supply, but also the strength of some of these brands. There's a key theme across all this. We are generally number 1 or 2 for these vendors. You know, we're not interested, I suppose, in supplying a brand where we're a bit part player. If we can't add value to that brand and we're not going to be able to support our customers with that brand in terms of stock and support, we're not interested. So all of these brands are sort of key partners of ours, and Cheryl, who you talked to before, who's one of our marketing team, will tell you we work closely with all of these brands in terms of what we can do and what we can offer. So if we're not able to find a partnership, we won't generally work with them, which is why I think it works so well with the brands that we've got. And I think with graphics cards in particular, I'm sure it'll come up later on in the conversation. You know, being the number 1 disty for all 3 of those brands across the top 3 means our allocation is fantastic. You know, I think we've shipped 30% more in the last couple of years than we did prior, and in particular in Carl's space, the distribution space, which when we say distribution, VIP refers to everything that's not one of export, Amazon, the online major retailers like eBay or Scan, the SIs, and corporate. So anything that's not in that tends to fit in distributions. That's made up heavily of independent retail, ISPs, small SIs, small B2Bs, trade platforms, everything else essentially, but heavily led by our independent space. And they've had, is it 190% more cards versus 2 years ago from us, Carl? Is that right?
The business in general's 30%, up 30% in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, distribution, MySpace is up 190%. If you go back a year prior to that, it's like 256%, give or take.
And we're only flagging that, I suppose, one, because it's the hot property at the moment. Everybody wants graphics cards. But second of all, we have the big brands, and it's not just about pumping them into the top 3 or 4 customers. Anybody can do that. I think the beauty of it being VIP is that we also care about this space. And so we do our utmost to try and support all the channels as opposed to just, you know, your Amazons of the world, for example.
Yeah, just on that, in terms of percentage terms in graphics card as well, the distribution space percentage-wise is receiving roughly 5% more graphics cards than they were 2 years ago, just in the distribution space. Yeah. And with obviously a 30% growth in that time overall, obviously that's a huge amount more.
Absolutely.
To the independents.
You know what's going to happen now? You're going to get 200 people calling you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning wanting graphics cards.
Yeah.
Well, my guys will be ready.
We've had a big kiss from Pierre at System Restore there, which is very nice. Appreciate. I'm not sure if that was for Phil though, or if that was for us, Carl, but we appreciate it nonetheless, Pierre.
Probably Lewis.
I'm guessing it'd be for you guys. I don't normally get any kisses.
Do you not get the big kisses? Okay, we'll take it, Phil. We'll take it.
They're usually showing the hatred for me, and they love everyone who's on. But before we go any further, we've got Scan Station Computers, Peter as well. He's Bognor Regis, if I remember right. We've got Bruno Mattis as well. We've got Nicole. She's from the States. I think Cellbotics, if I remember right. And obviously we've got a few and not Lewis on that one. So there we go. Right, guys, I'll let you carry on.
No problem. So moving on from brands, then we wanted to look at, I suppose, why VIP. There are a lot of good distributors out there, and where do we see ourselves sitting? What do we think differentiates us? As I said, there's a lot of good people, in particular in the independent space, and there's a lot of good distributors doing a good job. In terms of where we sit, I think our big selling point, I mean, we touched on the product portfolio in the previous slide. Where we see VIP sitting is, you know, we're a £200 million business. We are big enough to attract the likes of Microsoft, AMD. And as I say, we're AMD's largest partner in Northern Europe. Our allocation on a brand like AMD is crazy for an independent disty in the UK. Asus, Gigabyte, MSI, major brands, Corsair, Razer. We're big enough to attract those kind of brands through our partnerships with some of the big tier ones, like the Amazon, for example, Currys, Costco, Game, eBay, etc. But we were born out of the independents. That's where we came from. Jati, our chairman, still works with us. When he set the business up in 1990, he was transacting with probably some of the customers who are still on this, still here today. Really appreciate that, Dean. Thank you. I'm glad thank you very much. I'm glad it's worked well for you, Dean. So that's where we came from, and that's still very much it's still as much a focus now as it always was. The beauty about where we sit now is we're not a small distributor. It's difficult for us to justify being classed as small anymore when we're turning over 200 million. So we're big enough to attract the big brands, but still with a big investment in the independent space. And so I think for any reseller in that space, you've got an independent family run, as I put on there, flexible disty, who cares about and invests quite a lot of time and effort and resource into and Carl will touch on that shortly, in the independent space, but with a backing and monetary value and brands that are the kind of brands you would want. You're not having to deal with, tier 3 and tier 4 vendors. You're getting, as we touched on in the previous slide, number 1, 2, 3 in the market. So I think that's ultimately what we still pride ourselves on. We're not some big corporate. We have one main office that's was in the background on the previous slide. We're still family run. Everyone knows everyone's name. We were having a laugh with our head of CS after work today. If there's a problem, we can just walk over to a desk and get it sorted. So that's really where I think our strength lies. And with that, I suppose, we're able to pass on things like tier 1 partner support to smaller, what we call distribution customers. So, we were the first distributor to work with AMD to unlock support for the independent space. As most people know, traditionally customers only get that if they're selling a certain MOQ, the likes of a Scan or an eBay or a Currys or an Amazon. And we were able to work with them to basically say, we've got a group this big that can basically do the same sort of numbers, but it needs to be, how do we unlock that? So we had that. We've then had Ramp Up since, which is rebate on Microsoft and AMD program, which is the same sort of thing, unlocking those rebates that you don't normally get access to. And again, I think that's only really possible because of the size of business we're doing and the brands that we're working with. And ultimately, we've had a phenomenal 2 years in particular. We've more than doubled in size. So we were 95 million 2 years ago. We're now a 201 million pound distributor. And that's not through acquisitions. It's not through consolidation. It is literally the same business that it was. We've grown significantly, and ultimately that money is being reinvested into the business, which I'll touch on the next slide, but Carl will touch on in a moment some of the investments in particular in this space and the benefit. It's not money that's being banked. You see a lot of, certainly some of the big corporates, that when you look at the sheets, a lot of the money basically goes straight out the back door again. You will see, and if anyone wants to, by all means, check our files on Companies House, virtually no money gets taken out of our business. It gets reinvested to fund doing more, giving a better level of service. And so, I'll hand over to Carl to touch on 5, 6, and 7, if that's okay, Carl.
Oh, yeah, of course. Basically, the distribution space which I'm in charge of, I came on about 9 months ago now, 10 months ago, something like that. So within the last year, we've grown my space in terms of actual staff by roughly just over 30%. What that's allowed us to do, the idea behind this is less means more, if that makes sense. So less accounts, more focus on the accounts they've got. It's literally as simple as that. I drive that as a kind of KPI, so I can be a little bit ruthless with my guys, a bit evil, and pop quiz them, to give them just ask them about certain customers they've got. So I need them to know everything from, did they like even being called in the morning? Do they like being Skyped? What products they're using? We'll do product breakdowns weekly with the guys and all sorts of things like that to find out, and basically just help and support the guys. What that's meant in terms of the numbers we took on is roughly my guys deal with, again, anywhere between 25 to 45% less accounts each, which obviously should generate the greater focus for them. In terms of other things that we're doing, customer service, we've got 2 dedicated customer service agents solely to my space now, so they solely deal with distribution customers. We've just introduced, I don't know if Elliott's touched on the new CRM yet. I don't think he's mentioned it. We introduced a brand new CRM system 3 or 4 months ago. This has helped basically for the last 5-6 months. Our customer service team are on like a one day response time for any queries and anything like that.
I think
And
it's
the
same day
investment
now, isn't it? Is it same day turnaround at the moment?
Sorry, did I say one day? My
Yeah,
apologies.
I think we're down
It
to
is same day. Same day, Ted. I want to. Joe won't be happy with that. Same day turnaround. Same day turnaround for the last 5-6 months. But it'd be interesting to hear back from people tonight to see if these, especially the regular customers that we've got, to see if they've noticed an improvement in the actual level of service they've got. Because the guys are dealing with less accounts, so they should be generating more focus towards them and things like that. We still run VIP Club for our independents out there who'll know about it. So if any viewers aren't sure what VIP Club, it's basically aimed at independent retailers, people that don't sell on Amazon, eBay, etc. We unlock and support a ton of deals that they're emailed each month. And those deals will be the best deals they can get within VIP. Nowhere else in VIP should they be able to find a better deal than what they get for the time those orders are on. And then as we come out of COVID, we'll be looking to do open days, getting back out into stores. If anybody's interested in anything like that, they can contact their account manager, who can contact me, and I'll get Cheryl, who you met earlier, and the marketing team on that. In the past, we've done like gaming days, things like that. Gone out, done like car wraps, wall wraps, things of that nature, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's been a pretty positive year so far, but we're always looking to improve, to be honest with you. So any feedback that we can gain from this evening, again, it'll be greatly appreciated.
And I think it's worth saying with VIP Club, and I think Carl did touch on it, it was a major focus for VIP, and obviously COVID hit, and given it is solely related to, independent retailers, all of us were in the same boat. It's very difficult to do a store installation or a wrap or a demo when the store isn't open or when we're not allowed to go in. So it has understandably had a bit of a backseat in the last couple of years, not because we haven't wanted to, but there's been nothing we could physically do a lot of the time. So again, as Carl says, really keen to kickstart that again, subject to, touch wood, nothing, no more restrictions, no more lockdowns. We can start getting out and assisting those independent retailers again, and what we call our club customers. So we've had some very very positive comments in the thing. So I know I've met Bright Digital Promo. I really appreciate that, Brian. That's great. Although Neil's not on, so you haven't got to paint a great picture for him. Canal as well. Thank you, Mark. I'm amazed at how positive the comments are. I'm assuming the negative ones are coming shortly, but it's much appreciated.
Yeah, let me just jump in there just 1 second. For anyone who is having problems commenting on one of the Facebook streams, if you just click on the YouTube link I put in, you'll be able to comment on there. It seems like one of the comments or some of the comments aren't showing up. I can just see them, so I can see Kunal said hi on there. Cormac King of Ireland is also on there as well. Dave Evans, Brian Moffat as well. He says he's new to VIP and he's just put 3 dots and then put Corsair and a smiley face. So obviously he likes Corsair. So that's pretty good. So and hi to everyone else who's commented as well. There's quite a few nice comments. Just bear in mind, guys, there is a competition tonight. So if you want a chance of winning £100 worth of Amazon vouchers, I'm putting the link in the chat now, so it should pop up on there. Just click that link, fill in the form, and you'll be in a chance for basically winning £100. And that's obviously in an Amazon voucher, which we'll sort out after the show. Otherwise, if you do have any questions for these guys, send them over. So if you want to know why, I don't know, anything basically, you want to know if you need to be VAT registered, if you need to have a minimum order number, if you need to be whatever, any ideas, anything about the website, stuff like that, just feel free to ask marketing, anything like that. Put your questions in and we'll go through them all in a bit.
Bruno, the website's coming.
Yes, I was going to say, so Bruno, I'm not entirely sure whether it was us or not, but either way, you are right. We do need to sort it. I know that Richard's mentioned it as well. We'll come to that in the next slide, if that's okay, because it's already covered. I'm just laughing at Dean's comment about losing Ryan and not having Lewis.
Lewis's head's swelling somewhere at the moment.
Yes. I'm more laughing at the fact that he liked Ryan, but he prefers Lewis. That'll make for a good conversation in the office tomorrow. That was the account manager. Sorry. Okay, so we touched a little bit around why VIP. We wanted to touch on some of the things we've changed recently. So, Carl, if you want to, I'll let Carl touch on as the guy who's in it day to day some of the things we've done in terms of credit side of things.
We brought Euler on as an insurer, which Elliott will touch on more. But basically, we've got our own dedicated credit controller, Viv, who, again, solely deals with distribution. She'll take calls, any questions and things of that nature. Really, really helpful to have. And she works very, very closely with our team. Pretty much an invaluable member of she's not in our team as such, but she's an invaluable member to us in our space, to be honest with you. And that's really helped drive, especially the Euler's piece, getting more credit limits on board for customers, things of that nature.
And I think it's just worth covering. So we switched to Euler in just at the start of October 2020. So about a year and a half ago, we made that switch from our long-time partner QBE because we felt that Euler were more appropriate for the sector. They were a bit more aware of what goes on in our industry in particular. And especially at the start of COVID, a lot of people have known and felt it. Our insurer in particular didn't really get our sector. So we had a lot of limits stripped at that time, which obviously made it very difficult for all of them as involved, us and our partners. Whereas you were a bit more understanding about our sector. So it's not that anyone is any better than anyone else. It's just they're a bit more aware of our sector and what we do and the volatility in the computing space in particular. So they've been a lot more supportive with us in terms of getting the kind of limits we needed, not only for, some of the Amazons of the world, but also, our independents as well. And the implementation of Viv, I think the reason that's important is we had a credit control team that would do everything.
Yes.
And as well as they did, we all know in this stream in particular that there's a big difference between an independent and how they go about sorting their invoices and financing and stuff, and a Currys. And what we wanted to make sure is that there was a tailored approach depending on who you were. That's not to say we won't expect you to pay, but I suppose there's a different approach with a Currys or a Costco or a Selfridges than there is with our independents. And having Viv there means she only ever works with that space. So there's a very different approach from her side than we would take with as I say, a major retailer, for example.
Again, it goes back to focus, basically. She's there solely to focus on the independents, the same as the two customer service advisors. Again, what we've really tried to make an effort with in the last 9-10 months is literally that word. Scale everything back so there's more focus on helping people and understanding their businesses, basically.
Yeah. Additional end user delivery services. Essentially, we undertook a review of our couriers probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. There was an obvious distinction that's changed in recent years for dropship, not only from, as I say, some of the major retailers, but a lot of our independents. We have a lot of trade platform customers, a lot of feeders, people have their own website who prefer for us to dropship, and we wanted to ensure we had a courier that could do that. So we integrated and brought on board DPD. Anyone who's used them obviously knows it's a far better end user service. Tracking exactly who's coming and when they're coming. You can reorganize the delivery, reschedule it. So we initially rolled that out for end users going through dropship, and for any resellers operating that, it meant they got much better tracking and much more confidence in that item being delivered and a better service for their customer. More recently, though, we've rolled that out as well for. I've just got. Something went wrong.
I got it too, Phil.
I think that's just the stream picking up what Lil Nas said, possibly potential issues with the wording, probably.
Okay, we're good.
If you get the meaning, that's just we've seen that happen before. It generally automatically blocks them, so they can't comment again for another 5 minutes. So,
No problem at all.
but before you guys go on, just mention again, guys, if you are wanting to obviously do asking these guys any questions, please send them through. I can see Russell's very eager tonight. He sent over, it's Russell from Lexar 3 times. So if you guys ever want any SSDs or memory, probably best to speak to Russell at Lexar if you're looking at anyone else to resell products from. Russell's a good guy. But anyway, we'll get to all your questions in a bit. So go ahead.
We'll leave it there, guys. We'll try not to take up any more time. Thank you, Neo, as well. It's great to hear about James. That's fantastic. I was saying, so we rolled out DPD. Now, that was an end user piece at first. The one area we've now allowed it to be rolled out for anyone, resellers included, is in Carl's distribution space. So that is going out to primarily the independents. Yes, Eurosoft, we are attending TechMax, but I'm sure, again, we might cover that at the end. So yes, Carl will know it's not for 10 box deliveries, but any single line orders or small items, small orders, we will ship out DPD to resellers as well as end users. Whereas historically that would have to be through, I think someone mentioned TNT on here as well. So depending on the size of the order, but we get charged per box, but we'll only charge for the one box irrespective. We'll soak up the rest. So we don't have that with any other area. Everyone else doesn't have the option to they only get DPD for end users. But in distribution, because we wanted to make sure that those independent retailers got a better level of service, we've rolled out DPD more broadly. We've also, for anyone, I don't think there's many probably in here that are doing export, but we also integrate with DHL as well for the same reason. Much better service levels for some of the regions in Europe. VIP partner program, I touched briefly on the previous slide about the big strength of VIP, or one of them is having big brands but still having an eye on the independent space and trying to marry the two. We've had various iterations in the past, the most recent one being Ramp Up, as I say, rebate on AMD Microsoft program. There is a new one coming. Our marketing team have been working really hard with the vendors to get another one lined up. I think this quarter it should be launched. It'll be an ongoing piece, so it'll be fluid. It'll start off with 1 or 2 brands, and we'll try to add more in. But again, the aim is to bring support, rebates, whatever it might be, from major brands to resellers who wouldn't ordinarily be able to get access to those programs. And that's the VIP partner program, which is coming soon. So keep an eye on our social media channels, on our website, which isn't the best, which we'll come to in a minute. And my cat has just flipped the slide to the last one, unfortunately.
There you go, Phil. You got a nice comment.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who that is. Probably someone sticking up for me for some reason. I don't know.
Is that your other account, Phil?
It's probably the missus hiding in the other room. Probably, I don't know, but it's the first time I've seen that account pop up. Let's put it that way.
There you go. And just lastly, I suppose what we've changed, we touched on courier, we touched on credit, a bit more specific focus in the distribution space. We've touched on the partner program. The last one is we've added a number of brands in the last 12 months. So we touched on Corsair already. We've just added Geo. Geo's coming soon. So this quarter, we should be in a position to start distribution. Geo are a laptop and devices brand, more at the entry level side. They also have gaming as well. They're a big player in that space. They're not Dell and Lenovo, clearly, but working with the likes of Amazon, Argos, Very, really strong reviews. They're licensed with the likes of Minecraft, Microsoft authorized SI essentially. So, and I suppose given the price point, we're really hopeful that it's going to be a real player for us in this space, in particular with some of the independent resellers. Some of the laptop MSRPs are around the £200 mark. So sort of that quick spontaneous purchase will be great. We've added Corsair, we've added MSI Power. We were already working with MSI, but Power by MSI, so the PSUs, the cooling, the cases. Cougar as well. Cougar, reputable brand in the gaming case and cooling space. Anyone I've missed there, Carl?
No, pretty sure.
Acquisitions, or
you said Corsair, and Ben came on straight away, so he must have heard.
Almost like he heard me, yeah. But Ben, I think across the board.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, if Ben wants to get in touch with me after the show at some point, I'd like to have a word with him in a good way. So if you haven't got the details, just ask these guys; they'll forward you on.
Great stuff. And I think in a lot of instances, I'm sure Sean will back it up. In a lot of instances, it's the brands approaching VIP, and I think that's a really important message. Not because we want to show off, but I think it demonstrates clearly there. I mean, a lot of the time we hear that they've gone out to canvas the customers, and the customers have said VIP. And I think that's really important that we're getting customers asking for it to go through VIP, and we're getting big vendors, some major names coming to VIP asking, we think you can help us not only with some of the big retailers, but a lot of the time it's feel that we can help them with their breadth, help them with their access to the independent space. Certainly the reason Microsoft approached us was they felt they'd lost touch with that space, quite frankly, and VIP was a good route for them to get back into it. So yes, that's some of the things we've done recently. And then the final slide is just our future. So we are acutely aware that some of these systems we work off, there are borderline hamsters on wheels downstairs. We've been working off the same technology for a while now, and we're patching patches upon patches. Ultimately, there comes a point where we need to improve that. We need to enhance it, and we're constantly doing that, but there's only so much we can do. That then means that there'll be challenges that people have faced working with VIP, and I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. Things like tracking. You have to ask to get tracking. It's not automated. The way we pick stock downstairs and how that factors through can mean delays. Returns, being able to track your returns. All these things are a limitation of our system, which, it's a £200 million distributor, simply isn't good enough, quite frankly, and we're aware of that. So there is a scoping set up at the moment. Within the next 18 months, we should be live with whatever that looks like. Ultimately, what it will mean is we can give a better level of service to our customers, and things that you would expect from VIP that you're not currently getting, we should be able to offer. We think we do a very good job as it is, but it's very reliant on people. And as much as we've got great people, it'd be nice if our system was able to do a lot of it for us, so you didn't have to rely on the good people at VIP. As part of that, part of the reason, I know people have mentioned the website, part of the reason we haven't really done much to the website is because we haven't got the infrastructure behind it to support it. So it would just be a very glossy front of house with nothing behind it. So that is going hand in hand. So again, within the next 18 months to 2 years at latest, touch wood, we've just recruited a new web developer.
Yeah.
So their job will be website development, essentially. To bring a new website that doesn't look like it's from 2001, with a new e-commerce platform, so you can, whether it is digital or whether you want to keep talking to your account manager, we've had some lovely feedback about some of our account managers, or whether you want to do it online and get on with your day, you can do that with VIP, and that will ultimately be the aim. Whereas right now, I struggle to buy off our website, if I'm being brutally honest, and that's not good enough either. So we want to bring a best-in-class type setup, however you want to deal with VIP, whether that is via Teams, Skype, phone, or via the website, email, etc. Whichever way you go about it, you're going to get what we like to think is a best-in-class service. We're not there yet, and we would absolutely welcome feedback from any resellers on what we need to do, what other people are doing that we're not. We think we're very good. We think we've got really good people. The feedback we got on our last customer survey was really positive. I think 93% said we support their business. So we're confident we do a good job, but I suppose we want to be more than good. And that's really the aim over the next 18 to 24 months, really. So that, I think, is it from us. Carl, is there anything you wanted to add before we go on to the Q&A?
No. Any feedback, like Elliott just said, especially from the independents in my space, would be excellent. Because, like I said, even though the feedback was really, really good, at the end of the day, there's always room for improvement, and everyone's got to evolve. And as everyone knows, here the last 2-3 years.
Absolutely. So
That's
it from us, Phil. So we're on to the Q&A. So this is the tough bit now. We've not prepared for this, so off we go.
There we go. We've got some interesting questions for you, that's for sure. So let me just get rid of that screen. There we go. So, right, okay. So first of all, regarding obviously your website and so forth, looking at that, one tool I suggest you use is try using the Tech for Text Facebook page. Run a poll in there. You're allowed to do it. Run a poll. Ask, what do you want? We've got 1,300 plus members, so you've got a good opportunity there to do it. Other distributors do, so feel free. So, and people will love you for asking the questions as well. So,
no
right.
Well, Cheryl's listening. Cheryl's our, one of our key marketing people. I'm sure she can work to sort that. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm pretty sure she could as well. Right. So before we go on to the Q&A. And go through all the stuff what's been said and asked. there is a competition tonight. Make sure you fill the form in, otherwise you're not going to get a chance of winning £100 or £100 worth of Amazon vouchers. I'm putting the link again in the chat, so it's there for you. It says host, it says £100 Amazon voucher. Either type that into your web browser or click the link in on Facebook, YouTube if it's popping up, and so forth. Just fill it in. It's Google form. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you, but it could get you £100. So I won't say no to that. So, right, let's go through what we've got. So let me just go through just a bit of the chat. So we've got Mark saying Cougar's good. So Cougar, however you want to pronounce it, is good. I must admit, Cougar, we actually had Martin in our studio, was it last week or the week before? Can't remember now, but he's brought some stuff over for us to review and so forth. So you guys will be seeing that in the coming weeks. A couple of cases of PSU and water cooler, I think it was off the top of my head. So that should be interesting.
Great.
I must admit, off initial looks, and I must admit, we've only really looked at the boxes and opened one of the boxes because we've got quite a lot to review. It does look pretty good, but again, obviously, keep tuned. But from what I've seen, they look pretty good things, to be honest with you. So, right. So, first question we've got on here then is, quick question for you guys at VIP. Would you ever consider expanding your customer base to individuals rather than just businesses? So I'm not sure if they're asking as a consumer rather than a business, or if they mean as a small trader, as in a sole trader.
Yeah, so I mean, we work with a lot of sole traders. As long as you're a registered business, we can work with you.
Yeah.
We don't deal with end users for obvious reasons because we're a distributor, and that would essentially mean that we were competing with our own customers, which we don't want to do. So if you're a registered business, we can trade with you. There's no requirement, whether it's sole trader, partnership, small limited company, whatever it might be. You know, I'm sure Carl's nodding his head. We've got a number of people who are essentially one-man bands, some of which operate out of the bedroom. It's not a problem as long as it is business. As I say, we've no plans to set up a direct reseller platform because that's not who we are. We're a distributor.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that pretty much answers that one. Let's get the one that just popped in from Richard. This is an interesting one, especially goes with what we spoke about last week. Was any plans for an alternative internet security product alongside BullGuard/Norton, or whatever you want to call them these days?
So right now, no. If I'm being brutally honest, we've had a lot of acquirements in the last 6 months. I've mentioned some of them, or a lot of partnerships we've done in the last 6 months. We've also got an iron in the fire with a number of brands that are working with us already. If an option comes available, then absolutely we'd consider it. But I also think there are a handful of players in that space in reality, and most of them I would envisage will either have a direct to end user platform or will be already working with other distributors. So as I said at the top of the conversation, we're not really interested in working with vendors unless we've got something to add. So if we feel that when someone comes forward, we can add value, then absolutely we'll look at it. But whether it's BullGuard as it was previously or Norton moving forward, we know that they're keen to drive business in the independent space. BullGuard did a great job of that. Norton have acquired them for that reason. That's where we play. If there is another brand out there that's keen to do the same and thinks VIP can assist, then absolutely.
And just on the back of that, we had Norton in on Wednesday, like we said earlier, and the feedback we got in general was actually quite positive, because obviously we've seen all the concerns from last week's show, but when my guy spoke to their accounts, the general feedback was actually positive towards Norton, is what I would say on that.
Okay, sounds pretty good. I think that answers that question. But it also goes to show, guys, is these guys are actually watching you when you're on the shows another week. So when you are commenting and saying things, they're actually wanting to know, obviously, what you're talking about and what your opinions are. So it's good to hear that you're actually listening in. So that's always good. Yeah. Right, let's go on to my next one on the list. Okay, this one was from Dean. He says, I have one problem with VIP. Here we go. Here's your first problem to solve. In terms of Cougar, I love the Cougar brand. We stock 85% of the lines. However, VIP do not stock all the lines, which then limit of where I buy our Cougar stock.
Okay, so Martin's coming in next Wednesday. So if Dean wants to get in touch with his account manager, and then the account manager will then give him my details, I can always take that back and feed it back to Martin next Wednesday. No problem at all. And then we'll absolutely look into that moving forward.
I think it's also worth flagging. It's still relatively new, Cougar,
Yeah.
VIP. It was only just before Christmas.
3
we
months
launched.
That, yeah.
You know, we're still finding our feet in terms of what people want, what we sell. So the range is fluid. We won't take everything, understandably, but if we've got some of our independent resellers and some of our key partners in that space who rely on us for certain SKUs, we can absolutely look to bring it in, as Carl says. So just feed that back through the usual channels. And you know, if there's sufficient demand, I'm not going to say we're going to bring it in for one customer, but I would envisage if you're doing well on it, there's plenty of others doing the same. So we rely on the range that's given to us by the vendor at first. If there are SKUs we're missing, great, because we'd love to know that. We don't want you having to go elsewhere for it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good. Let's go on to the next question by Ben. I think this is Ben at Corsair. Keen to see.
We'll move on to the next one.
How many shots you did last week with Corsair team? So shots.
I don't know who he's talking about.
I didn't have any shots.
Yeah, it was all orange juice, was it?
I'll talk you through very briefly, Phil, what happened there. No. We'll talk. Well, let's just talk about what happened there, shall we? So we went out with Corsair after our launch day, which was fantastic and very kind of them to take us out. We took a lot of our sales team to get to know, break down some walls, and sort of open that line of conversation. And then at the end of the bar, they were quite keen to stay out. Ben obviously was going to get off at that point, but his team were quite keen to go out. To which Carl and a couple of other sales guys got in a taxi. My assumption was to go to wherever we were going next. Turns out they rang me on the way to tell me they were going to the hotel. So I was stuck, forced to go out, some would say, at which point, yes, shots were bought. But as to the number, I couldn't possibly comment.
That's one version of events anyway.
So yes, they left me hanging, Phil, essentially, is the long and short of it.
It's a good one. Right, next one is from Kunal. It's basically collection of faulty items from resellers rather than us having to pay for it would be a good move for VIP.
Carl, do you want to go first? I suppose it's about a bit. This is similar to essentially collecting faulty or collecting DOAs. I'm conscious. Do you want to go first on this, or do you want me to cover?
Yep. Don't let me write it down first and foremost.
I suppose just while Carl's taking that down, Canal, we're always keen to understand where we can be better. I touched on it in the end of the presentation in terms of best in class. We want to offer a best in class service. That doesn't mean, of course, we're just going to bend over on every little thing. And there's got to be a point where VIP doesn't lose money. I think ultimately what this comes down to historically, and Carl will probably cover it in a second, is we have our own returns and test center internally. So, and Carl, I don't know if you want to take over at all.
Yeah, 2 ticks. I've actually got it wrote down somewhere. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, so basically, it's actually virtually verbatim what the Elliott just said. Skills to assess, test, and grade or fix hardware if required. The process is to always receive the goods back and process the return. That the stock indeed is DOA prior to shipping out any new stock. But
I think the collection of it is valid, and it's certainly something we can look at.
Absolutely.
The problem we've had in the past, Canal, I suppose, is we have a test center on site, so we will test any goods that come back faulty. What we found quite often is that they're not faulty, and then VIP is out of pocket, and when that happens too much, it ends up impacting everybody else because we have to put our costs up to cover it. So, but again, absolutely something we can look at. If it's something we're not offering that others are, then definitely keen to hear it. So again, via our various channels, please feed that back through. It's something we can look at.
Okay, that's a pretty good response there. I think I'll skip all the other ones regarding Elliott getting shots and stuff like that. There's quite a few comments regarding that. One of the questions I've got from earlier is regarding similar sort of thing is when there is a faulty item, what needs returning or something along that lines. Do you accept all the returns, or do we have to mess about with contacting the vendor and going through return forms and stuff like that? If you get my meaning.
So for a return for a product that you've purchased through VIP?
Yeah, so let's just say let's just say we bought something like some Corsair RAM, for example. Okay, it could be any product, and let's just say it was faulty. I'm not saying your products are faulty, Ben. Don't start getting worried. But let's just say that was faulty. Would we return that directly to you, or do we have to jump through rings and hoops and whatever's with Corsair?
In the majority of cases, yes. It very much depends on the warranty we have with the vendor. So if we're not supported by the vendor to handle that return, then the answer is no. But in general, virtually, so there are some of our laptop manufacturers, some of our monitors, for example, that prefer to deal with end users, and therefore they want to deal with that warranty rather than VIP. Which is a challenge in particular with some of the major retailers, because of course they want to be able to ship it back to where they bought it from. But in the majority of cases, yes. Again, if there are instances that people have got where there are certain brands they've found that's not possible, please let us know. But I don't know of very many at all, Carl. We generally raise RMAs on virtually every vendor we supply, right? Certainly in this space.
In my space. Not that I'm aware of any off the top of my head.
It's mainly finished goods, to be honest. It's finished goods where they've got an end user agreement and DOAs and stuff like that. So.
I can find out if there is any and get back to you tomorrow. First thing is what I'd say to that on any that I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on with the next question. Oh God, it's getting late, so let's go through these as quick as we can. So this isn't just aimed at VIP, but what can be done about price? And it seems that basically it's not competitive anymore, and people are getting cheaper prices online, basically.
Yeah.
What can we do about pricing? There's a question.
Yes.
As Carl says, VIP Club in particular. We guarantee that VIP Club deals, there is no better pricing to any customer through VIP on that product. The problem, of course, we've got with anything like this is we can't control everybody else. So I'm just reading through the question. Seems more times than not, consumers buying from retail get a better deal than the people in the trade. You're absolutely right. How to tackle that is I suppose about working together really and finding the opportunities where that's not the case. Things like offering. So part of the problem is, forgive me, the cat's in the way there. Part of the problem is they will deal. So you will have a vendor. AMD is a good example we've used in the past. They will sell a product to a partner of theirs who gets certain support. That partner can then ship out that product to an end user with the support included. VIP wouldn't necessarily get that same level of support for that the reseller would get, and therefore we can't match the price that the same reseller is selling for. Things like the VIP partner program, things we've done in the past, are an attempt to try and deliver that same level of support to independent resellers. We can do what we can do, but we can't control the Amazons of the world. We can't control what happens through direct business. All we can continue to do is fight for the same levels of support, utilizing our grouping of customers, which is something we're continuing to do. And as I say, from March, we got a new partner program launching. So I don't have all the answers, I'm afraid, and I'd be in probably a very different job if I did. But all I can say is we're doing our best to tackle it. It frustrates. Carl will tell you his team get very frustrated when they're selling at a higher price than an eBay is selling for. It's not what we prefer, but we don't always control what they've bought for, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know that's not what you want to hear. It's not an answer, I'm afraid, but I'm trying my best. We do our best to support where we can.
Yes.
Right, that sounds like a pretty good answer. Right, next we've got a question from Newtown IT Solutions. Is a credit account required? When I looked to create an account today, it suggested a 5k credit limit, but I stopped there as I need. If I needed a credit limit, I prefer a smaller limit or none at all.
Sorry, 1 second.
So basically, he's saying credit limit. He doesn't want one, basically, but it's
absolutely
when he's applying, it's saying he's needing it.
We have many customers on cleared funds or bank transfer.
Yeah, you don't need a credit limit. It's definitely not required, 100%.
So it might, if it asks what credit limit you would require, you can just put 0 for that. We don't. I'm being honest. There's a lot of sides we prefer not to have credit accounts because it's much easier for VIP. So that's absolutely fine. You don't have to have a credit limit at all.
That's pretty good there. So let me just go to one or two questions what came in earlier. What do you have to do to become a VIP club member?
Speak to your account manager. And if you, well, obviously you got to meet the criteria, sorry. Independent shop, don't sell on eBay, Amazon. Other than that, speak to your account manager and it's absolutely fine. You'll be emailed the deals, you'll be given passwords to our site, etc., where you can go on and view all of the deals, but they'll be emailed to you by your account manager each and every month also.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Next one, let's have a look. It's Russell from Lexar again. He's basically receiving lots of requests across the UK from independent retailers where to buy SSDs and DRAM products from, especially gaming component range. Would VIP be interested in talks? Best thing I would suggest, Lexar, Russell, send me a message after the show and I'll put you guys in contact with each other and you can discuss.
Perfect.
If you want to or whatever. Obviously, we don't want to air negotiations of a new brand for you on the show. So, but I do know Russell, so he's a good guy. But again, obviously, that's up to you guys. Right, okay. So let's have a quick look. So let's go on here. So what's your view on the roadmap for graphics cards going forward? Will our allocation stay the same or will it ease off, get better, worse? In basics, are we getting any more graphics cards?
Carl, over to you.
Are you getting any more? I would certainly hope so. It looks like allocations, from what we hear, are going to be here to stay until at least 2023. Are you getting more? I'll give you the stats earlier. It's gone up, what did I say, 256% in distribution, 30% overall in VIP.
We are literally selling tens of thousands of more cards to the independent space than we did 2 years ago.
Yes.
So we are 30% up in terms of the units that we're selling out despite the shortages because of the fact the brands we work with in the fact we're number one. 30% up as a business, 200% up in distribution. So
it's over 200.
It doesn't appear that it's going to change. Certainly, what we're being told isn't for the next probably year at least.
At least a year.
But what we do get is Darren, our product manager for components, will tell you. Is he will get stock. It comes in. He's told in a lot of instances he has to sell it to certain customers. It's for a certain customer. We then get a lot where they either are told it's for your club customers or it's for independents or we're targeting breadth or do with it what you want. And in all of those instances where possible, we want to go out and support the independents. We have a lot of SIs. We're aware that without a graphics card, you can't build a gaming system. So it doesn't benefit us to ship it all out for straight up resale because then we lose the motherboard and the CPU and the case. So it's win-win really. We want to support our independents and that's demonstrated by the stats. So, but yes, unfortunately, another year away.
Same goes for anybody who decommits an allocation from any of the bigger guys. It will go to the independents. That's probably why you've seen the upturn in that number so much higher as well.
Well, I do get frustration from my Amazon team, for example, which I've got to deal with because they don't understand why they don't see graphics because everyone's got their own targets to hit. Carl will tell you his guys are enemies number one at the moment because they get a lot of the spares. But yes.
Right, that sounds pretty good. Next question I've got on a message is Elliott. Who's the gate crasher we keep seeing the ears of on your screen?
It's I say it's our cat. It's not even our cat. It's our neighbour's cat that practically lives here. It's our adopted cat, pretty much. But she won't leave me alone, bless her. So, yeah, apologies, everyone. I try my best to keep her out of the way.
And what's her name?
She's called Socks.
Socks. There we go. Yeah. There we go. I think that's the most important question of the day there, I think.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Everyone came for that.
Yes. You already brushed this one earlier on. Will VIP be attending TechMax 2022 on the 24th of June?
I will.
Yes.
When is it? The end of June. Yeah, I'll just be back from Mexico. It's at Bramble Lane, isn't it?
Yep, that's correct.
So I'll probably nominate James Dunn, who's a big Sheffield Wednesday fan, to come with me because he'll be thrilled with that. That's our monitored PM. So I'll probably nominate him to come with us. Yeah, but I'll definitely be there. And then we're in talks with some other of our vendors who've shown interest in coming as well. But obviously, as of yet, that's to be confirmed on their end. But barring me getting stuck in Mexico, which we can hope, I will be there.
That sounds pretty good. And don't worry about the Sheffield Wednesday fan turn. I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan myself.
Oh, there we go.
Unfortunately, we'll pick Bramall Lane because, in all honesty, their conferencing centre is hell of a lot better than Hillsborough's. Sorry to say it. I won't mention anything about leagues or anything, but yeah.
Not.
The conference.
There's not a chance you would get Carl Woods to book a gig in the Etihad, which is the car. You couldn't pay him.
You got more chance of the Etihad than Anfield, put it that way.
I suppose.
Right. Okay. So let's go on to some more questions. Again, if anyone's got any, ask them. We're pretty much getting towards the end of the show. I don't want to keep these guys up all night. Are there any order limits, minimum orders, or free postage, or other things we should be aware of?
No. No. Definitely not.
There's no minimum order. VIP Club customers get their first delivery free at the start of every month, I believe, Carl.
We certainly do.
Yeah, so I think that covers most.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So you do get free postage if you're a club member, but the first time of the month. That's pretty good. Yeah. And also, I got asked, do you still do the free pizzas or something or other?
So this is pre-Carl. Carl,
I know nothing about this.
Yes. We don't, for the same reason I mentioned on VIP Club. So just to explain what that means, historically we would do, I think it was a competition or it was to do with the first order or something. We would pick a winner and that customer would get free pizza on that day. And we used to order Domino's, I think it was, from their other pizza brands are available from their local Domino's, and that would get delivered to them for them and all their colleagues. We had to put it on hold because of COVID. Again, if it's popular and that's what people want, we're more than happy to put that back on again. It was a VIP Club thing. And yes, COVID was the issue, I suppose. But again, like everything, hoping to roll that back out again.
Okay, that's pretty good. Right, so next one is, does VIP supply any point of sales material for stores or digital even, posters, artwork, stands, stuff like that? In personal thing, I'm not sure why a lot of vendors actually do this, but they usually send you loads of pens. It's not as if a pen is going to help us sell a graphics card. We actually want posters and stuff like that. But we've got a filing cabinet, and the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet is completely full of all the different pens we've had over the years. We've got a lifetime supply of them.
Yeah, the best person to probably answer this is Cheryl. I was going to answer it, but Cheryl, go for it.
Let's glamour the stream up a bit.
Let's bring Cheryl. You want me to bring Cheryl on, do you?
Yeah, let's glamour up the stream.
Yeah, oh, here we go. So we're bringing Cheryl on, guys. If you don't know who Cheryl is, she's in the marketing department. So she's been hiding in the background all the time. So she's pulling funny faces at the moment, but I'll bring her on now for you.
Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay. Hiya. Yeah, no one really wanted to see me. I was happy in the background. But yeah, POS, we're always contacting vendors, asking for them to send it. Quite often we'll produce a lot of it ourselves. I mean, we haven't had pens from vendors for quite a few years now. I'm sure quite a few of you have all received recently Microsoft POS when the Windows 11 product launched. We've had AMD POS go out as well. I think that was September time. We're also working on some more AMD POS for stores. But if there's anything that you want, we're always happy to look at getting that produced ourselves and sent out to you. Obviously, quite often it depends on what brand you're taking. But if you speak to your account managers, we can get stuff sent over to you. Like I said, we've got Windows and AMD stuff in stock at the moment, and we can get some more produced. Or speak to the vendors themselves.
Okay, that sounds
Ben's just said he can do the same for Corsair, which is great.
There we go. So yeah, Dean, Corsair point of sales, Dean saying that's what he wants. Right, let's have a quick look. And we've got a few more questions. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement, that one. So next is VAT registered. I think we bumped on this one a bit ago. Do you have to be VAT registered to use VIP?
No. No. So I think you have to have a certain threshold to be VAT registered from memory, from my understanding, and we accept that not a lot of our customers will meet that threshold. So with that in mind, no, you just have to be a registered company.
Yes, correct.
As long as you're an official business, we can trade with you. I think it's is it 250 grand or something turnover for VAT? Again, I'm potentially talking out of turn.
I wish it was 250 grand. I tell you. I think
less.
I'll have to double check, but I think it's about 88 off the top
Okay,
of my head.
apologies. Yeah. Either way, we have
but
customers that don't. We have customers that don't meet that threshold, and they still trade with us. So it's
85K.
It's way off the
85, yeah,
mark.
there we
My
go.
apologies. But
There we
yes, you don't have to be. It used to be a prerequisite for VIP, but then we acknowledge that in this space in particular, there's lots of different customers. As I said, we've got quite a lot of one-man bands. We talked about sole traders before. They don't have to turn over that kind of money to trade with us.
Just going back to something Ben put earlier about Corsair for VIP Club, I will get in touch with Alice tomorrow regarding that for you, Ben.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Let me just go through. Is there any other questions you guys would like to answer that that I've missed, or any common questions, what people ask you, or anything on that lines?
I'm just looking through now through the comments. There were a few earlier on, but we may well have covered them since. So
I think we've covered most. Oh, I did get one asking you AMD or Intel question mark. I didn't really thought that was a good thing for distribution. More of a personal choice, I think. But
depends who's asking. we sell both, so I'll remain neutral in that instance. I think what I would say with it, what is good is we've got competition in that market for the first time in a long time in the last few years, and that can only be good for all of us on the stream. We, Dave, AMD, obviously, Dave's our business manager for predominantly AMD, so understandably he's AMD. I think ultimately,
Right.
when I joined VIP years and years ago, it was 89% Intel, and that wasn't good for the market. Not because Intel weren't good, but there was no pressure to develop and research and improve. And I think if nothing else, the rise of AMD at least has helped drive that, because the 12th gen Intel is very good and it's doing a good job. And I think that's, apologies for the cat, that can only be good for end users and for all of us as resellers, because it's generating a bit more demand and generating a bit of actual movement. You know, every update is actually worthwhile as opposed to just sticking a new label on something. So yeah, whichever brand it is, it's good for the market.
That's pretty good. And then Dave, if you want to work with us promoting AMD to the Tech for Techs community, let us know. I used to work with Katie Pinnock, or whatever you pronounce her last name, but she's obviously left now or in the process of leaving. So I haven't got a contact there anymore. So, but if you want to obviously work with the Tech for Techs community, you know where I am. Right. Is there any other questions before we end this show? I'll give you all a couple of minutes. If there's anything I've not answered or asked, just post it again and we'll go through it. But I think we've pretty much covered most things. So
no worries, Ben.
There we go. So I'm just going through my questions and pretty much everything I think we've covered. Do you see any new products or any new brands popping up you can hint us about or anything like that in the next few months? Like, will you be having, I don't know, a brand association, let's say with Lexar, for example, as he keeps jumping in or something like that?
The only one we can talk about is Geo. The launch will be taking. We're in conversation about when the launch will be. But for VIP in particular, it fills a major gap in our portfolio, which is laptops and devices at that entry level point. We've got some strong brands at the gaming side, but that's at the opposite, four-figure end of the spectrum. So we're quite excited for that. They are a reputable brand that do very well in some of those major tier one retailers, but that actually care about the independence and growing their breadth of customers. 100%. And I think that can only be good for all of us. So that's one we're definitely opposing. There are conversations with others, but we're not at a point when we're even signed yet. Never mind, unfortunately, being able to do an exclusive reveal, Phil, I'm afraid. But as and when we do, I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Geo, when we had them in, Phil, we're really interested in the distribution space for all the independent customers out there, especially. So I'd say watch this space on that one.
Yeah, maybe you could even do a launch show with them or something like that if you want to promote the products. It might be something interesting for you guys to do. So that's pretty much it, I think. What I would say, if you could put in one sentence or paragraph why, if I was looking for a new distributor, why should I pick VIP over anyone else?
Who do you want to go, Carl? Shall I go? Cheryl, do you want to go, or what do you want to do?
I'm arrogant. I'd just take us with the best.
In a nutshell, we are a £200 million distributor that's doubled in size in 2 years. As a result, we attract some of the biggest brands in this sector. But half of my sales team sit in our distribution team. Half of my sales team report to Carl, and they only look after independent, small SI, small ISPs. So we're able to bring the biggest brands to the smaller and independent customers, and I think that ultimately should be a good thing for everyone. Really, that's our key. I think ultimately, more than anything else, is our key selling point.
And we, of course,
that's pretty good. Just to answer Sean O'Brien, Joe would like to know what point of sale is wanted for independent retail. Again, either talk to Cheryl or go into our Tech for Techs group. It's easy to join. It's free to join. Don't cost you a penny as long as you're in the community, blah, blah, blah. It's free to join. I'll put it on the screen there. You can ask the question. 1,300 people in there. They'll answer you. Tell me. You can do a poll. You can whatever you want, and they'll tell you what they want. And I'm pretty sure pens is the bottom of the list, but I might be wrong.
I've just seen Dean's question. I'm conscious I've just left it hanging in terms of can you look in stocking printers. It's not, again, in the immediate future. One, because we haven't really been approached by those vendors. It's never really been an area we've played in. Second of all, it's the space. If I'm being blunt, they're a big item, and warehouse capacity is a premium at the moment. So we would rather invest in other areas right now. But again, depending on what our customers want, absolutely willing to look at it. So yeah, I think, again, I just didn't want to shy away from that. Probably not right now, Dean, if I'm being very honest with you.
Okay, it's pretty good. Just going back to the point of sales, for me, posters are always good. Digital artwork. Even better, I find what works good is if you've got any sort of mascots what go with it. For example, obviously like Seagate's got the little dragon thing and stuff like that. That tends to work really well, to be honest, when you're doing social media posts and stuff. It gives it sort of I don't know, sort of like a better feeling, the post, less commercial selling, more of a personal feeling to it with having the little play things and so forth. But again, that's totally optional to you guys, but I think the little mascots do help out when making social media posts. But posters, A1, A2, A4, whatever, stuff like that is always good, and especially for a brand no one's heard of. If people don't know what it is, they need to know what it is, and otherwise they're just going to walk past the table and go, "What's that? Never heard of it," and carry on. If there's something for them to read, then there's a good chance they'll buy it. Okay. Right. Do you guys have anything else you would like to add before we end the show?
Cheryl,
No.
Carl?
No.
I think
I'd just like to say thanks, Phil, first of all, for the opportunity. It's apologies, it's taken a while. And most importantly, I suppose, other than that, is I'm amazed at how positive and friendly the comments have been. I was very much expecting, for whatever reason, I know what these things tend to be like. People always want to get their pennies worth in. So I am very grateful for the comments and some of the very kind words that have been said, not just about VIP, but some of our account managers.
Absolutely.
It's great that is felt, and seeing stuff like this just makes us realize we're doing a good job, I suppose. But again, as always, we know we're not perfect. There's plenty more we can do. So please do keep feeding back through, whether that's through Tech for Techs or through us directly. It's really appreciated. I'm quite chuffed.
Lewis is too tight, Dean.
There we go. What's the best way to contact you guys before we go? If someone has any problems, let's say setting up an account or anything like that, or let's just say they have an account manager and they can't get the account manager to understand what they want and they want to speak to one of you guys, is there a best way of doing it? Or just call the main number?
Well, if it's an account manager and they don't understand him, just put me on the phone would be the first one. Other than that, I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to get hold of me there, you can always get my email address as well off one of the account managers also.
Yeah, so you're pretty open to talk to customers.
100%, yeah, definitely.
He does it most days. I think Carl is generally the escalation point, and we don't have much of that, if I'm being honest. But when we do, Carl will jump on the phone and generally smooth things out. So yeah, certainly don't shy away from it. And I've done the same, I suppose, as well. The other piece, if you are a non-VIP customer, if you go on our website, forgive us firstly, when you go to the contact page, there is a sales and there's an email address, I believe, on there, Cheryl. If you click that, that email address takes you through to Carl and the team and myself. We'll see that, and then we'll get in touch with you about things like
setup. Be in touch with you the next day.
Yeah, and you can also set up an account through the website as well. If you go to how to apply, there's a link, and we've recently revamped that, Cheryl, I believe. So you can actually online now with a digital signature, none of the print out, scan, fax, all of that malarkey. So we have joined the 21st century, I'm pleased to say.
Revolution.
That sounds pretty good. Right, let's finish off the show then. So, guys, if you don't use VIP, get yourself an account set up. Don't cost you anything to do. Get yourself an account set up. It's always best to have that, obviously, different choice. You might have your favorite distributor you use already. It's always best to have multiple ones out there because you might not be able to get what you want from one. And you may even be surprised that the account manager, obviously, or the stuff what you're getting at VIP might be better than what you're getting already. Again, I always suggest you contact your account manager rather than just looking on the websites a lot of the times because you tend to find your best deals are usually through your account manager.
100%. Thank you.
So VIP, I've used them myself over the years, so they are one of my distributors I use, so I've got no problems recommending them. So if you do want to use them, obviously get in touch with them. If you're not sure how to get in touch with them, get in touch with me. You should probably know where we are by now. Right, so let's finish off then. So, guys, we do have another show next week, 8 o'clock. So that's 8 p.m. next Thursday with Soft. So if you're interested in getting a new, security company to actually purchase security from rather than whoever you use currently, they will be on the show. So that's next Thursday at 8 p.m. They offer things from monthly security and even stuff like branding the security as your own. So they'll be on the show next Thursday at 8 p.m. Otherwise, if you are interested in joining Tech for Techs and you haven't done already, as I've already said about 10 million times on this show, we do have a website. You can basically go to techfortechs.co.uk/join. It will take you to our Facebook page or group. And there it'll ask you some questions, who you are and so forth. Make sure you answer the questions so it'll let you in. It's totally free to join. The group is for independents as well as vendors and distributors like VIP to work together. And obviously working together can only make things better for everyone. So again, join up if you haven't already. It's totally free, even if you work for VIP or one of the other distributors, Corsair, or you're just a home tech or an MSP or you're a large company. We've got everyone from the little guys to the big guys. So really up to you to join. So otherwise, we'll see you all next week, 8 p.m. Thanks for watching, and thank you again for the guys at VIP. So thank you, Elliott, Carl, and Cheryl.
Cheers. Thank you
very much.
Bye.
Much appreciated.
That's it. Good night, everyone. And again, thanks for watching.